Hello class. Today I'm going to demonstrate to you how to make chocolate chip cookies. These cookies are super popular for every event that holiday, birthday parties, picnics that I have been going to since my childhood. The recipe was given to me from my mother, who everyone always loved when she'd pull up and to the party and have her chocolate chip cookies in hand. And throughout the years, I have been perfecting the recipe as well. The recipe for chocolate chip cookies, which we'll get to in a minute, you can even use the dough with butterscotch chips, dark chocolate chips, or even small M&Ms if you're not a fan of actual chocolate chips. So first, we will here is the handwritten recipe given to me by my mother. You can see on the from date, she wrote Mom Forsyth 8/27/2000. This was actually given to me in a cookbook for my first marriage, wherever all the guests to the shower wrote out a recipe card. And so I've had this recipe from her for 20 years now. And again, like I said, she would bake these cookies all the time when I was a kid. So here is the recipe for reference. And then here we have our ingredients and supplies. There is the butter. It should always be room temperature. The vanilla shortening. Here's measuring utensils, spoon, salt, baking soda, a large bowl with a fork, another additional bowl. I like to mix my wet ingredients in here and then my dry ingredients here. Then we would add the dry to the wet. Brown sugar, the bag of chocolate chips, regular sugar, white sugar, and flour. And we will go ahead and, like I said, start the wet ingredients and then the dry. So first, what we'll do is preheat the oven to 375. Here I have added the shortening, butter, and eggs, and I will be getting ready to pour in the 1 cup of sugar. And then next, 1 cup of brown sugar. Once I added the brown sugar, I then added the 2 teaspoons of vanilla and stirred everything together. As you can see, it's a smooth consistency, and this is what is considered the wet ingredients. Next, we're going to go ahead and, in this bowl, mix all of the dry ingredients, which includes the flour, baking soda, and salt. We have 3 cups of flour, and I've already added my baking soda to the top of the flour here. You can see the brighter white, and I will also add my salt. I like to do it this way just because then that gives it an extra able to mix it. So I've added the flour. I will mix that up so the baking soda and the salt is throughout the total amount of flour, and then we will slowly add this flour, which is the dry ingredient, to the bowl with the wet. I've mixed the dry and the wet together and made a bit of a mess. I will now add the chocolate chips a little bit at a time. Here we have a 12-ounce bag of semi-sweet chocolate. I've already cut the end, which is what you'll need the scissors for in the list of materials. And just kind of add about a half a bag at a time to be able to stir it all together. And you just make sure basically that every bit has chips mixed in with it. After this, we'll take a spoonful size and start laying them on the pan. Finally, we have our dough ready. I usually use a regular spoon like you would use to have cereal in the morning, and I just form the dough, as always with clean hands, to the spoon, and I place it on the pan, and I spread them out kind of in like a diagonal way, just because they do tend to spread, obviously, when they're baking. So you don't want them too close together because you wouldn't want a giant cookie sheet shape of a cookie. I will obviously add one here and one more here, and then they will be ready to go into the oven, which we will then set the timer. The recipe calls for 8 to 10 minutes. I usually do 10 for the first pan, then the additional pans, because there is so much dough, I eventually cook probably for 8 minutes, because the oven has just been warming up that whole time, and the pans have been warm because I reused the same pan. And then that's it. And then after the time is up, you would take the pan out, and I would lay my cookies down here on this foil, or if you have a cooling rack at home, and let them dry. Or excuse me, not let them dry, let them cool. And then they're ready to be put in the container to take to a party, or just in your own cookie jar at home. And that concludes my recipe. I hope you enjoyed listening how to make delicious chocolate chip cookies, and I hope you try it out yourself. If you have any questions while we are still in this class together, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I wish everyone well. Thanks, and have a great day.